SCP-923 Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures None. SCP-923 is currently in orbit at an altitude of redacted kilometers. This, combined with its automated defenses, makes retrieval impossible. SCP-923 reports that it has no control over its defense mechanisms. As such, it cannot be contained in the traditional sense. Instead, care must be taken to make sure no other satellites enter SCP-923's path, as further damage to the object could cause catastrophic results. Furthermore, its defense mechanisms destroying other satellite would display its anomalous nature, and destroy the cover story of a military spy satellite. Since the object ignores all queries and instructions that lack O5 level authorization, termination of the object has been suspended until it becomes unusable. Description: SCP-923 is a satellite that includes a large, parabolic dish constructed of unknown alloys. The object is also equipped with a redacted reactor, which satisfies the power need of its firing mechanism. It is unclear how SCP-923 generates the effects of firing on a target, but tests have shown that subjects placed between SCP-923 and its targets are unaffected. Much of the information about SCP-923 has been gathered from SCP-923 itself. The object reports that it was constructed by the Foundation at Site Redacted, which was planned to be constructed in Redacted, but cancelled due to logistical concerns. SCP-923 is not to be informed of this under any circumstances. The object is semi-sentient and capable of basic deductions, but appears to use its ability solely for informational queries. SCP-923 is capable of rapidly shifting its orbit in order to reach a target quickly. When given O5 level authorization, the object will accept firing orders. It requires standard GPS coordinates, altitude, a time, and an integer value for the intensity. An experiment log for determining what the numbers mean has been included. Special permission has also been granted to keep some D-Class personnel alive beyond the normal expiration date for the purposes of study. Intensity 10. Response: error reported by SCP-923 stating that it was incapable of firing at an intensity lower than 23. Intensity 25. Response: subjects reported hearing voices, interacting with people not present, overwhelming paranoia, compulsions to harm others, and terror. Interviews with affected subjects reported strong feelings of being watched, though they were unable to elaborate further. Time until recovery, 15 to 19 days. Note from Dr. Redacted: in order to better examine the phenomenon caused by SCP-923, several recording devices were placed next to the target. Intensity 35. Response: similar to Intensity 25, but with the subjects also reporting compulsions to harm themselves and constant suicidal thoughts. Researchers within 10 meters of the target reported having panic attacks. Time until recovery, 6 to 8 months. Video and data feeds. All visual and audio feeds were lost during the test fire, and several recording devices seems to have shifted up to 10 centimeters from their initial placement. One device seemed to have been adhered strongly to the floor during testing. Recovered video feeds show heavy damage consistent with data expunged. Audio feeds recorded nothing out of the ordinary, but when presented to affected researchers or subjects, feelings of dread or suicidal thoughts return. Furthermore, affected individuals who claim that the audio feed matches the voices heard and become increasingly agitated when told the feed contains random static. Note from Dr. Redacted: it looks like this thing actually has a blast effect on it and is not just a laser of madness. The audio and video feed disruptions are particularly interesting. From now on, researchers are to observe remotely, and D-Class personnel are to be secured so that they can't harm themselves. We need them alive for study. Intensity 50. Response: identical to the above test. Time until recovery. Subjects have not recovered. Restrained subjects somehow caused self-injury, as tears and cuts were found in their skin, despite still being in full-body restraints. Observers do not see anyone else enter or leave their testing area, nor do they see the D-Class test subjects escape their bonds. How they managed to injure themselves is still unknown. Video and data feeds are identical to the above test, though the displacement was more pronounced. Additional note, researchers recovering the Class D personnel reported extreme discomfort when within the test area and that it felt wrong, but could not provide further details. This suggests some sort of lingering after effect, though no other changes have been observed. Perhaps higher level settings will reveal more. Intensity, 75. Response, target went completely catatonic. A number of D-Class personnel within 15 meters of the target were able to break free of their restraints and proceed to kill all D-Class personnel they could see by data expunged with their teeth before eventually turning on each other. Subjects up to 50 meters away reported panic attacks lasting up to 1 hour. All D-Class personnel showed lacerations along their legs and arms, the cause of which is unknown. No bladed weapons were recovered, and wounds do not match damage caused by teeth or fingernails. Video and data feeds. As above, some devices were missing after the test. Video and data feeds caused extreme distress in those who had experienced the panic attacks. Additional note. As before, researchers entering the area reported extreme discomfort, with a few experiencing mild panic attacks while surveying the landscape, and reported hearing whispers and voices, movements in the corner of their vision, and other symptoms. These symptoms are markedly similar to those of an Intensity 25 blast. Minor reports of anomalous activity, including poltergeist activity, objects moving of their own accord, were reported, although none were caught on video camera. Laser rangefinders show that there is now a permanent, mild spatial distortion at the center of the blast site. Site is currently slated for testing the long-term after effects of 923 on an area, and the effects of those living at the blast site. Note from Dr. Redacted. This is crossing the line from scientific to just barbaric. SCP-923 has said that its maximum output is 238, which it promptly converts to Keter intensity. Let's just see what this does and report our findings. Intensity, Keter. Response. It is strongly advised that this intensity never be used again. In addition to causing permanent psychosis in all subjects in a 2-kilometer radius around the target, surveillance equipment at the epicenter observed the materialization of data expunged, which dissipated after redacted minutes. The site is now designated as SCP-923-02 due to the permanent effects of the landscape at and surrounding the epicenter, and is to be quarantined with standard containment procedures. Subjects attempting to reach the epicenter experience greater and greater feelings of panic, beginning at a distance of redacted meters, eventually resulting in psychosis similar to the lower intensity tests. Post-incident investigation of the site has revealed spatial and temporal disturbances consistent with data expunged. Due to data expunged and the damage done to Ground Zero, SCP-923 is currently undergoing O5 review for its potential to cause an XK class event. Additional note. While more than half of the equipment was lost in this experiment, one of the surveillance devices lost at the Intensity 75 firing were recovered after this test. It was heavily damaged and barely functional. Efforts to recover data from this device are ongoing. Addendum. Firing SCP-923 causes some internal damage, resulting in the minimum intensity it can fire at increasing. SCP-923's internal diagnostics report that it can no longer fire at intensity below 65. It is strongly recommended that the object not be used for anything that isn't absolutely required.